All right, then we'll go ahead and get started. My name is Chris Brown. I'm the Customer Care Director for Educational Leadership Solutions. Today I'm going to run through a couple of the new changes that we've added into Easy Assessment. We've made changes in these two modules here, the item bank, as well as creating and defining a test. We'll start here with the item bank. One thing that we've added is the ability to add a hotspot item. So we've added a completely new type of item for you guys to take a look at. Let me run through the changes that we've made to the actual look and feel of everything first before we jump into the hotspot item. So here's our page here, the new and improved page. We have the same ability to choose a content area and an objective. What we've added also is the ability to tie the question that you're creating to any of the passages that you have access to. For instance, if I'm creating this passage for this question for third grade or fourth grade language here, I want it linked to this objective, but I also want it linked to a Pearson native passage. So here's all of the Pearson native passages. Choose a passage there, click add. Now this question is linked to this Pearson native passage, meaning that when we go in, create a test, add this question to the test, it will also add this Pearson passage. So that's there. Again, we have the same ability to add tools and change the difficulty levels. We've also allowed the option of adding in a title, a name for your item that you're creating. And so this should look familiar to you. This is the same item prompt there. So we come in here and we say, what's 4 minus 1 or 3? There we go. So there's our question. Now we also have added the ability for users to add in equations. So if we click this button right here, it will come up with this. This will allow us to add in any sort of equation that we need. There's a documentation, there's instruction here on how to add in whatever we need. Basically, I think this is called MathML or something like that. So all of these functions here is what this will look like down here at the bottom. So if you want to change this 4 to a 2, just pop that in there and it changes it. So we pop that in there. That's what it'll look like once we post it into the editor there. So that's there. That should make a lot of you math teachers a lot happier if you're using this program to create items. Any of our interactions, we no longer have to open up another window by clicking on the interaction. The interaction is right here at the bottom of the page. We can just click in there, make whatever changes we need to that way. All right, so now let's look at how to create that hotspot item. And then we'll click right here where it says create an item again. We'll choose our hotspot question, click submit. And so we'll go content area. And I'm going to add this one to the 5th grade science content area. We'll leave it as that objective. I'm not going to put a passage for this particular question, so I don't need to do any of that there. I'll change the difficulty to 2. I'll change this one, this display label to anatomy. That's what we're going to be creating a question about. So with the hotspot item, basically what it is you are adding a picture to your question, and you're allowing the students to choose a part of the picture as their response to the question. So my question is going to be choose the abdominal muscles on the model. There's my question. I'm going to choose a background image. I've actually got it saved right here under my folder. So I'm going to click Browse right here. It's going to bring up this box for me. I'll bring up my folder here. I can actually just drag this on over. It will go ahead and save it onto our server. So here's my human body model there. The guy flexing his muscles there for us. We'll click circle to add in this clickable option right over a couple of those muscle groups there. So let's put this one right here on his face. We'll move this one down to his abs. So that's actually our correct answer. We also actually have the option of adding different types of shapes. Here's a rectangle. Put that right over the pectoral group there of muscles. So number 4 would actually be our correct choice. So we'll put a check there for number 4. You'll notice how it's lit up as green now. We can add in a freeform type shape if we need to do that. If we need a more specific type of shape, we could add that in there. And it will look like that. If we need to draw a shape such as that, I'm going to go ahead and remove that. So here's our question. We've completely finished with our question now. We'll scroll up to the top and we'll click where it says save. It'll generate a preview of that item for us. So here's our question. Choose the abdominal muscles on the model. Students will click that circle there and receive credit for their answer. So that is the hotspot style question. That's how those are created. Once we finish creating those, we're able to actually add that type of item to a test. Let's look at our item page though. We've actually made a couple of changes to that. So here's our list of items. So for instance, here if we wanted to see items for the ELS Map Bank, Certica, Pearson Native, Pearson Aligned, as well as the school, we can choose all of those. Shows up right there. We'll choose our content area. We want to see 5th grade science. We want to see this standard. You'll notice here where it says marked as public or private. I'll show you what that means in just a second. Here's the item. This is the only item that's in that particular objective because it's not a real objective, I don't think. That's just something that's added as a placeholder. You'll notice also next to this item is a checkbox. If we put a check in the box, then we click where it says with selected, we can mark this item as private. Now, currently I'm logged in as Demo Ad Center admin, so I'm an administrator at the school level, meaning that when I make this change here, this item will no longer show up for teachers to be able to choose from. You'll notice too that it took it off of this list because I'm filtering for items that are marked as public. The item that I was just looking at is marked as private. So any of the items that we mark as private are no longer available for teachers. So please make sure that you make note of that. If you create an item and you mark it as private, you cannot, or teachers cannot access that item if you're logged in as an administrator. This also works for items in the ELS Map, Certica, Pearson Native, and Pearson Aligned banks as well for administrators. Administrators are able to mark whatever items they deem necessary as private, hiding them from the teachers. Teachers are able to mark items private that they themselves have created. Please note too that administrators, if an item is hidden by an administrator at the school, other administrators at the school still have access to that item. So please keep all that in mind. If you have any questions, we'll have some documentation on all of these changes loaded onto the site here pretty soon. So keep an eye out for that as well. I'm going to go ahead and mark that item as public again. So it's done that way. And again, it's taken off this list because we're looking now for items that are marked as private. So my item is now marked as public. So anyone at this school will have access to that item. So now let's go and we'll take a look at the test list page. That's changed a little bit as well. You'll notice it looks very similar to the item list. We're able to filter for tests that we've created. Those show up just like that. So here's our items, here are our tests. Our actions are listed right here. You'll notice, of course, you're probably familiar with the golden exclamation point over the pencil, meaning that this question has been uploaded against. There is data in the program for that question, for that test. And so here's one that does not have that. So we have these 6 options available for that test. So let's create a test. That's changed just a little bit as well. Let's go 5th grade again. So sample 5th grade science. Our content area will choose 5th grade science again. So there's 5th grade science. We'll choose a folder. We'll pop that into the general folder. Lettering scheme, of course, is still the same, A through D or A through D, F through J. So our page here hasn't changed very much. You'll notice a few changes once we click where it says Add Questions. We're able to choose a standard from this box. Now we pop that question that we just created into the inquiry standard here. So here's our question. You'll notice the title of it is Anatomy because that's what we named it. And we'll just pull that over to the left. So that question's now on our test. But now notice as well, for one thing, we're able to drag this box. I know you guys will be thrilled about that. But where it says exclude item by test, let's say, for instance, last week we gave a 5th grade science test. We don't want to see any of the questions that we created on that 5th grade science test in this list. So we'll click where it says exclude item by test. We'll choose a test folder. Wherever that folder was located, say it was in the general folder. We'll choose that test. And I don't actually have one in here, but if I did and I named it plants, that would be it right there. We would click OK, and then it would let us know how many of those items are excluded from this list right here. So now here's some of those Certica items. We'll just pop those in there. So these are listed on the test right next to items that we've created, or right next to this item that we've created. If we click where it says View Test, it shows up right there. Here's our question. Here's that Certica question, and so on and so forth. Now you'll notice that this question stretches all the way down here. That's because this question was not meant to be printed out. This is a question that should be taken online only. So once we, and this hasn't changed either, but once we go to where we assign our test and the students log in to take it, they'll be able to see that whole question. I believe that is all the changes that we've made for this release. We will have a couple more releases coming next. You can find any of that information if we click on the home page and go over to the support page. Under product news, we should have some information there, but we'll also have our webinars as well as our videos, and everything that you need should be under Easy Assessment, under our manuals, our overview, as well as under videos. You should be able to find all of our documentation about the changes. As a matter of fact, this video should be right here pretty soon. If you have questions other than that, please give us a call right here, 877-233-7833. You can also click our live chat button, put in your name and email address, and chat with us live. So thank you guys for tuning in. See you next time.